And now,
ladies and gentlemen,
Please fasten your seatbelts.
Welcome to PreneurCast.
Yeah, business cards being swapped, beers being drunk.
Can I say a nasty word? Can I say procrastination?
With Pete Williams and Dom Kocher.
how well did that go down?
We can talk about that entire thing in a very another rant and soapbox episode if we want to.
Visit us online at preneurmedia.tv.
Welcome everybody to this week's PreneurCast with me, Dom Goucher, and the fully fit for a second week, Pete Williams.
Hey, how are you, mate?
Hey, it's still a novelty that you're fully fit after the craziness of all the Ironman training and everything. Then you kind of lost your voice and stuff. You had me scared for a while there, mate.
It should be a novelty.
I'm gonna say my thanks for a few weeks more yet that you're back on form.
Oh, mate, I was only off for a couple of weeks. I'm definitely back.
All right, so come on then. Right, I now feel fully able to ask you what craziness you've been up to this week.
Oh, mate, lots of shenanigans and bits and pieces. But what's happened this week? Look, been reading a galley version or a pre-release version of an amazing book that's coming out next week. I think it is on July 19th. For those who are listening in the future, July 19th. Ryan Holiday's book, Trust Me, I'm Lying, Confessions of a Media Manipulator, is released. And I have to say, if you are into online media or marketing on any level, this is definitely a must-read book.
It's just. I mean, I just read. You let me have a look at your galley copy as well, and I just kind of read the first chapter, and my mouth hung open while reading a book, which is quite a novel experience. It's quite an amazing thing to read. I'm really looking forward to reading the rest of it. But you kind of gave me a heads up on that because Ryan was interviewed by Chase Jarvis on his live web TV show thing the other week, wasn't he?
Yeah,
which was something else.
Which is really cool. So for those who don't know Ryan's the media strategist behind some big people. Tucker Max, who wrote I Hope They Serve Beer in Hell. Robert Greene, The 48 Laws of Power, Seduction, The 33 Laws of War, I think it was. And a new book coming out shortly called, I'm going to get it wrong, Mastery, which is really cool. And Ryan is also the director of marketing, I think it is, for American Apparel, which is obviously a global brand. All controversial brands they are, and Ryan is the mind behind that. And he's only 25 or 24 years old, so to be the marketing director of a listed public company at 22, I think he was when he got the role. It's pretty significant.
Yeah, he's actually one of the few people I've ever come across who makes you look like a slacker.
But so he's been very heavily involved in the media manipulation and the exposure and marketing of some pretty heavy hitters that a lot of people probably would know about. And he's for want of a better term, done a confessional where he sort of exposed all the tactics and marketing ploys he has done over the years to get notoriety for and exposure for his clients online, and subsequently in what's traditionally classed as the real press, newspapers and magazines. And it's basically, the book is broken up into two halves. The first half is sort of a story of all the things he's done and how he did it, and then the second half is basically how the online media is broken and where the problem is and things like that. And it's a very, very engaging read. I read the entire book in 2 days, and then Ryan and I had a conversation a couple of days ago, which we've recorded, and I'm going to throw up on online at some stage in the next week or so to sort of help him out with the book launch, because it really is a must-read book for anyone in sort of online media and marketing type industries.
Absolutely. I mean, just a bit I read. It's almost, to me, it struck me as it's not a step by step by any means. But if you kind of take the lessons out of that from in between the story, it's a great story. But if you take the lessons from in between the story, it's almost like the guerrilla marketing for the 21st century.
Yeah, you could kind of absolutely. That's a great way of describing it. But it's even more than that as well. It's a ridiculously well researched book. Ryan's a crazy reader. He reads about 4 or 5 books a week. So you're right. He does consume a lot more content than I do, and there's a lot of thought and I guess, for want of a better term, psychology and understanding around why what he's done worked and why the industry is the way it is. So there's a lot of case studies and examples of not only stuff that he's done, but other stuff that's happened in the media online and in marketing online, and also there's a lot of stuff about the roots of just the media industry and how it's grown since the yellow pages, the yellow press back in the the 1900s and things like that. So it's it's an awesome book. So yeah, Trust Me, I'm Lying by Ryan Holiday is a very much must read book. It's a really make sure you read it type book. It's not like it's really cool, I read it, I enjoyed it. It's a must read.
Awesome.
So yeah, cool.
All right. Well, let's get on with the show. And what are we talking about this week?
Well, something you sort of mentioned the other day on one of the Q&A calls we did with some clients recently, and some sort of about joint ventures and partnerships. So I thought we'll take that point and question and discussion area that you brought up, and we can kind of put it out to the masses here on the PreneurCast show.
Cool. I think we kind of gave some good feedback to the clients on that call, and yeah, I thought it might be worthwhile bringing it out to the wider Preneur community as a general topic. So again, as we like to do, framing and context. Can we just define joint ventures and partnerships for everybody to make sure everybody's on the same page?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. So joint ventures, in my definition, is probably a little bit different to the Wikipedia definition. And to me, a joint venture is sort of a joint coming together of a particular project or a venture. So it's not necessarily a long-term partnership business arrangement. It's sort of like a short-term project you do with somebody else to get a result, whereas a partnership, in my opinion, is where you actually sort of start a business or a sustainable ongoing concern of some description with someone else as partners. So that's sort of how I define those two roles. So to give some examples, if you are going to open a retail store with somebody else and do it together, that's a partnership. If you've got a product you want to take to market and someone else has a platform or a community to sell that product into, and you're just going to do a launch together, that's a joint venture. So that's sort of, I guess, the definitions in my context and in my world anyway.
Cool. So really, I mean, when I flagged this in that call, it was about the benefits. Specifically, in my response, it was about the benefits to people of a joint venture. This idea that you've got something that you want to get out there to the world, and I position joint venture as a way to do that and kind of leapfrog part of the process. So can we talk about the relative benefits? I mean, really, I'm focusing on joint ventures because partnership, to me, as you said, is this going into partnership. This traditional idea that people have, as you say, if you're opening a store with somebody else, that you kind of sign up and you split this and you do that and you agree, and it's a long-term arrangement based around a business. Whereas a joint venture can be a one-off thing for a particular purpose.
Absolutely. So I just want to mention one quick thing about partnerships that kind of had sort of been mulling around in my mind since we spoke about this the other day for the topic of the show, and it's only a really quick point, but I know a lot of people who listen to the show are sort of from that internet marketing community and that sort of world, and have learned a lot about online marketing and haven't sort of implemented to a great extent, or haven't found the product to take to market, but they know they've got the skills to market but just don't have the underlying product and know where to start. And a lot of advice I give to people is team up with somebody else who is product focused but not marketing focused. I know we speak a lot on the show here about the need to be worrying about the core of a business, which should be sales and marketing, and leave the delivery of the product, the mechanics, to somebody else. So if you sort of step up and think of the perfect business, well, instead of hiring people to look after the mechanical side of things, why not partner with someone who's got exceptional skills in that area, and they can, focus on what they need to focus on, which is the product delivery and the product development. So you've got a good product to sell, and you take your marketing skills that you've learned online and team up together. Maybe there's a retail store down the road that has a great product, but isn't really getting the traffic to their business, whether it's foot traffic or retail traffic, web traffic they need. Maybe you can sort of partner up with them, and you can take care of the marketing of that business without having to ever worry about the mechanical side of things. Just focus on where your skill set is at, whether it's finding a developer of a product, an inventor, or a retail store, as I said. That could be a great partnership and a fantastic way to get started. Actually, teaming up with somebody who needs the skills you have, rather than trying to become everything and not only learn the marketing but learn the product and learn the development, which a lot of people try and do when they're starting out online or starting out in any business. You're much better off to sort of partner with someone who complements your skill set. And if you're a marketer, partner up with a product person. If you are a product person and are struggling to market your business, well, maybe if you're not willing to sort of move away and change your focus to marketing, you might be better off just sticking with being the product mechanical person and finding someone else who can do the marketing for you or with you, and partner that way.
That's a great example, and it really does speak to something that we're very, very big on, which is leverage and playing to your strengths. A lot of people get sucked into, and your example there was great, because it's one of the big things, certainly in the online information marketing industry, people get sucked into, which is that they realize that the next step is to develop a product of their own or whatever it might be. So then they start researching the mechanics, as we call it, of product development. They start worrying about video camera specs and dimensions of online video and data rates, and I won't give everybody else a headache and mention any more technical terms, but you get the drift, and if you could partner with somebody that had all those skills, if we're talking on a grander scale, otherwise you would just find somebody and outsource the job. But it's about, partnerships are about complementary skills, really, aren't they? They're about complementary something.
They should be.
So
not always.
You're good at marketing, somebody else has got the product. You have a lot of or somebody else is good at marketing and you've got a product. Somebody might be good at online promotion, social media, whatever it is. But it's something that you're looking for on an ongoing basis to create some form of business. And those opportunities are everywhere. You just have to look around. And it is about, from my perspective, it is about looking at whatever is missing from your arsenal, from your skill set right now. And instead of trying to learn that skill and trying to develop that skill from the ground up, and maybe just something that you're not really good at or that you're not going to be good at, rather than using that effort, just go out and find somebody who's already got it and partner with them.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's the thing is, I think the big critical thing around partnerships is that the thing you're lacking shouldn't be a friend. And what I mean by that is that a lot of people, myself included, have gone to business or projects with somebody whose skills are the same as mine, and we were friends, and we thought that'd be a really cool thing to do. Yet what we found out is, the business still lacked the other side of the coin. Whereas, for example, you and I working together, it's been really great for me. Generally, from a very high level perspective, most of the original relationship was around me looking after the core of the marketing and the strategy sort of stuff, and you were looking after the mechanics for me and doing the mechanical side of stuff. Now, obviously, as people are aware through the show, you're more than just a mechanic. You're very, very smart, which has been great. But primarily, what works for us is that you're the mechanical guy, and I'm the core guy on a fundamental level. Now, obviously, there's crisscross over there, which works really, really well. But fundamentally, we are both sides of the coin.
Yeah, and I do think that is a perfect example of exactly that. And I love the point that you made there about a lot of people do get into partnerships with friends or people that they resonate with, thinking that it's a great business opportunity. Hey, let's start a business together. That's really cool. You know, you might even do it with your partner, with your wife or your husband or your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever. But if you don't have those complementary skills, the other side of the coin, as you call it, then it can be a recipe for disaster. Whereas you and I, absolutely, is a great example. You know, I mean, I almost interrupted you to make a joke about me not really liking you and us not being friends. But, you know, but in all seriousness, our partnership started for exactly the reason that you stated, that you have the business skills and you also have the core content as knowledge that you wanted to get out there. But the idea of trying to create your own podcast and submit it to iTunes, or create an entire information product and the platform to deliver it, and all those things, it just was daunting to the point of it not being worth you trying to do it. You know, and then you found me, and I have this technical knowledge, the mechanics as we call it, to be able to implement your core content. But the thing that I lacked at that time was the connections to the industry, the marketing ability and knowledge, and the business knowledge that I would have needed if I wanted to create my own product. I just didn't have those things. You know, I could have created the world's greatest product, but probably nobody would have heard about it. Certainly not on a grand scale. So partnering together, you know, we've created some great products together now. We've been doing the PreneurCast for well over a year. We created the 7 Levers home study course, you know, which is great. We now work together with Preneur Platinum, and we've even done another huge project now with which we will be launching to the public real soon now. But that all stemmed from that initial partnership and that complementary skill set, which is the cornerstone, as you say, of a partnership.
Well, I think
the skills. Go on.
I was going to say something you mentioned there was about the new project, and that almost parlays into the next part of the show. Is that new project is a joint venture that, you know, we've partnered, for want of a better term, or we've got a joint venture with someone else who's actually has the complementary thing we needed for that particular project, which is a platform and a hungry audience for what we're putting together for everybody. So that's sort of a perfect segue into the next part of the show of what a joint venture is and when they're applicable and where they should be used as a business and marketing tool.
Away we go.
So obviously, as we said early on, you know, the joint venture it's a project-based type arrangement. So it's a partnership on a project basis with a significant, clean, visible outcome or finish line. So, you know, in this example, we've you know, I was approached by someone who has a pretty significant you know, client base and reputation and platform to do a product together, whereas I'd do the content because there was some skills that I have that he thought was very much fitting a hole in the marketplace. He had the audience who wanted that whole field and that problem solved. So we're joint venturing together on that particular product. So I've, with obviously your help, put together the actual content and the program, and he's looking after the marketing and the platform. And you know, we're obviously going to subsequently take that entire wrapped up project and offer it to other joint venture partners down the road to actually promote it to their clients. So there's sort of a joint venture on a joint venture in that scenario. So, you know, we're doing the product, he's doing the marketing and bringing the clients for the initial launch, but he's also going to be bringing the joint ventures for the JV launch at the end of the day. So that's sort of what we've done in that scenario.
Yeah, and it sounds a little bit complicated, but it is really simple. You know, if you look at right now, if you look at Pete and Dom as an entity that can deliver an information product or a body of knowledge ready to roll, what you were approached to do was to deliver that body of knowledge, and then the nature of the joint venture in this case, with us and the person that invited you to do that, was they had the marketing funnel, the the audience, the customer list, whatever you want to call it, ready to go. But again, their investment in time, it wasn't, they didn't want to invest the time in research, development, production, and all that to get this product ready to put it in front of their audience. So they offered us the joint venture, they offered you the joint venture on this one thing within this space, within this finite limit of this one product. You develop the product, they will market it. If we then wrap that up, that working together, we've got a delivery platform, we've got initial material, and we've got proof that we've done that we can do this and deliver, and we've got the product's got great reviews and case studies and things. We can then take that whole model and move forward to make yet more sales and reach a wider audience by then looking for that next step of joint venture, which is a wider audience, a larger list of people to reach. So each time we're applying the concept of joint venture, but it's still within this one product, within this one thing that's finite. So it's not a partnership. We're not agreeing to work forevermore, as it were, with this person. It was just for this one thing. They identified, and it's a great example from their side of the fence. They identified a gap in the market. They identified information that their customer base would find valuable, but they didn't want or didn't have the capacity to fill that need in a timely manner, with the resources and whatever that they had available. So they looked for somebody to come and contribute, and they did that on a joint venture basis.
Yeah.
Which is another way to look at joint ventures. Either you've got something that you want to take out to the market, you've got a product or whatever, and you want somebody to help you promote it, which is a classic joint venture, or you have an audience and you think that there's something that they would like to receive, consume, whatever, and so you go looking for somebody to provide that, because looking for somebody to provide something into your audience adds the value to your audience without you having to produce it yourself.
No, yeah, absolutely right. So I guess something I want to touch on is, what was the spark of this episode idea? Because obviously when it came up on a conversation recently, there was obviously an initial spark. So is there anything we should address around that is worth touching on?
Well, the question that we got on the client call was that somebody was basically starting from zero. They had a lot of knowledge, a bit like you, although not starting without the starting from zero part. They had a lot of specialist knowledge in an area, and they really thought that they got a great opportunity to create an information product, create some training and whatever. But they basically said, but I'm new to this. In this case, it was an internet marketing thing, and they said, I'm new to this whole way of delivering, whole way of producing, and it just seems like a huge daunting thing to go from where I am to producing this information product, potentially even knowing exactly what product people would be interested in, and then after I've produced it and I've gone through all that, then marketing it and selling it and delivering it. And I said to them at the time, we talked about it, we discussed it with them, and we suggested that looking for a joint venture partner, focusing on the joint venture part, might be a great way to get this project off the ground. Looking for somebody who had an audience that was in the same market or the same demographic or whatever as their product would be aimed at, and then asking that person basically, look, hey, if I produce this, will you market it? And anybody who's already possibly got an experience of marketing and or delivering those products might be a really good partner, because then you're literally just producing the content, and maybe, like us with our JV partner, we're actually delivering on their platform at the moment, which is great for us. We literally are delivering content, and their team is worrying about the logistics of payment processing, content delivery, support, all that kind of thing. And we are literally just content delivery.
So
which
basically,
takes the weight off us.
So where this comes from, I guess,
Yep.
just to make sure all the pieces are put together, is that this joint venture strategy is a getting started strategy almost, because I know a lot of questions we got off the recent survey that we sent out to the Preneur community was, well, what would you do if you had to start again, or what would you do if you're in an online play to get started? Now, obviously, if you want to start something significant, it'd be that partnership model I spoke about before. But if you are a product-based person, it is going to someone and actually saying, look, I've got a product, or I've got a plan for a product, I've got an outline of a product, almost like the book publishing space. It's like, I've got a product here, you've got a way to get it to market. And traditionally it's a publisher. These days it's someone who has a blog with a huge audience or a subscriber list and saying, look, here's my plan for a product. Do you think we could do this together, and you sell it as a joint venture to your particular list? And that's sort of a very easy to get started way if you are a product-based person. Now, obviously, if you're a marketer, you have to look at the other way and say, okay, look, I've got marketing skills, whether you've actually already got a platform and a community, but just no product to sell to them, or whether you've got the skills and ability to actually grow that audience very, very quickly. You need to find someone who has products and go, hang on, here's a market, here's a need, here's a problem. Let me try and find someone who has a solution that we can joint venture on to create a brand new, wrapped up package that solves a problem of the audience that I'm aware of, or I can touch and I can reach. Is that sort of the right sort of angle of the question that popped up that caused this particular show?
Absolutely. My response, our response to the original question for them was exactly that, as you said it. It's a great bootstrapping technique. If you're starting from scratch, and you think you have an idea, then getting the first and initial kind of boost of traffic or sales or just awareness out in the marketplace, it's a great bootstrapping technique as the content provider. But if it's you who has a certain skill, knowledge, marketing, for example, it's a great way of finding extra business, finding uses for your skills, and growing your exposure to the marketplace that way. But yeah, it's one of the, I think it's something that, I mean, the example that what brought joint ventures to my mind, other than obviously our example that we're working on right now, was a piece I read a while ago, and it was on the topic of bootstrapping. It was on the topic of very quickly starting out with possibly no audience, and very, very, very quickly moving yourself to a large audience, a big exposure for your product. And I think that's why I find joint ventures so interesting, and why they might be useful to the listeners, to the Preneur community, because the idea is that building a client base, building a list of buyers, and again, last week we mentioned we should talk about maximizing your client base. But a lot of people talk about maximizing your client base without necessarily giving you ideas and helping you build that client base in the first place. And a lot of people do struggle with that when they start from scratch. How am I going to get going? How am I going to go from a couple of regular clients and my friends to an actual audience of people that I can market to and reach? And joint ventures is a great way to do that, because you're actually looking for somebody who already has already done all that work, and has the experience and the knowledge and knows how to get things in front of that audience. So you're getting the benefit of that. It's like an instant client base, and they're getting the benefit that they're adding value to their clients. So
absolutely,
bit of a win-win. Yeah.
So I guess to sort of also talk about the JV platform in traditional real world bricks and mortar non-web based businesses, it's probably worth making sure we sort of offer some value to that portion, that significant portion of the listener base. So there's a term that's often bandied around, and I think it may have been originally popularized by Jay Abraham, called host beneficiary relationships, which is fundamentally just a very savvy way of saying a JV in the real world, and a very common play, or funnily enough, like a not so common play, but a common implementation for the few who do these sort of HBRs is a reciprocal mailing, where you may have a business in a retail athletic space. You might sell running shoes or something in that space, and you can team up with a podiatrist or team up with a masseuse and say, well, can you mail your client base or put some marketing in the next time you do your invoices, or at the bottom of your invoices redesign them to have a coupon code for my running store. And then everyone who comes into my running store and buys a pair of shoes, I'll put in a 10% coupon for your massage. I was going to say massage parlor, but that might be conceived the wrong way. Your massage, so your sports massage services, to actually, so that is a JV. It's a cross promotion to a certain extent. It's a variation on that sort of joint venture. Coming together to actually do a new product is a bit different and a bit harder in that sort of space. If you're a service-based business, it's a little bit easier. Maybe you're an accountant and you can team up with someone in the insurance space to write a self-published book, a guide on how to manage your money and your assets and protect them. And then you can sort of, use that as a marketing tool. You're perceived as a market leader, you're an author, but you do it together as a joint venture. So there's sort of, things like that you can do with complementary businesses. And, fundamentally, it's a bit different in the real world because unlike, selling information products where people can, continually consume more and more information, you can't necessarily team up with another running shoe store to continue that analogy because someone's only ever going to buy one running shoe. It's a bit different when you're selling information, but there's definitely a lot of other ways you can do joint ventures very, very creatively with complementary businesses in the real world.
Yeah, and like everything that we try and talk about, it's important to always look for those opportunities. And it was a great example, as you say, the creating some like a book or some other information-based content can be done and can work as a complementary one. But at the same time, just cross-promotion is one of the simplest forms of joint venture. And that can be as simple as, can I put my leaflets in your store and you put your leaflets in mine?
Yeah, it's not really coming together on a actual project, but it's still it's doing something together to cross promote each other. So it's a variation of a JV, and it's absolutely something that a lot of people don't really think about.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to make it more formal and actually be about, like for example, if you have a new service and you want to get the word out about that new service, then yes, you could do some focused and targeted, specific for a period of time kind of cross-promotional work with complementary service providers. But there's lots of opportunities. But it just, to me, joint ventures as partnerships, as we talked about, partnerships is about usually about complementary skills to create a business, whereas joint ventures is more about the complementary parts of a whole for a product in the main. So if you've got the information, the idea for a product, and somebody else has got an audience, is the most classic use of a joint venture. But there's lots of other opportunities to use those two things in any business.
Absolutely right.
Cool. Well, we're doing okay for time. So, and just in case you need to rest your voice, I'm gonna call it there. I think we've kind of covered that one. Action point.
Look, I would just try and find someone you can do some sort of cross promotion within the next 2 weeks, whether it be going down the path of doing a full project together, or at least just getting some sort of cross promotion in place to start with. It's a very easy stepping stone to build up that relationship, and then that could grow into a range of different partnerships, joint ventures, and mutually beneficial arrangements.
Yeah, just look for one of the opportunities that we talked about. And just see if there's a way to grow your audience or make a few more sales or whatever it might be.
Beautiful.
Okay, so as always, I will remind everybody we talk every week about our framework that we like to kind of coach people through, which is the 7 levers of business, and we have created a self-study, home study course for that, which goes into a lot more depth than we do on the podcast, with lots of ideas about how you can improve your operational level on the 7 significant parts of any business, not just online, but any business. And the whole idea behind that is that if you can just make that 10% improvement in the efficiency of those 7 parts of your business, then just by simple maths, you can actually double the profit of your business. And we talk about that in more detail over at 7levers.com. That's number 7, 7levers.com. And also included in that, if you take on the home study course, we'll also give you access to our Preneur Platinum community, where Pete and I will be there to answer your questions directly about anything and everything to do with 7 Levers, Preneur Hierarchy, or anything to do with the way that we run our businesses, or if we can give you specific advice on how to implement the things we talk about in your business. So pop over to 7levers.com, check that out. Meanwhile, thanks for joining us on this show. Looking forward to seeing you all next week. And if you have any comments, pop over to preneurmedia.tv, where all the shows are archived with show notes, all the links that we talk about to things that we talk about on the show, plus a transcript of all the shows is available there if you prefer to read what we talk about on the show. And you can leave us a comment there, or you can always just go to iTunes and leave us a comment there. We look forward to hearing you, as we always do. And we do read all the comments, and if you email us as well at PreneurCast@preneurgroup.com, we read those emails and we respond to them. So you're welcome to contact us in any of those ways. And if there's something you want us to talk about on a show, drop us a line. We love to take input from the Preneur community, wherever it is, whether it's people in our Platinum group or whether it's just people who listen to the show. And we love to provide value, do we not, Mr. Peter?
Absolutely, we love to do that. So we'll continue doing that in next week's show.
See you next week, folks.
You've been enjoying another fine episode of PreneurCast with Pete Williams and Dom Gaucher. Make sure to hang out with the boys online at preneurmedia.tv or drop them a line via PreneurCast@preneurgroup.com.